folks. Well, thank you. You know, this is overwhelming for Jill and me, and but you know, one of the reasons why it's overwhelming, we never, and I mean this sincerely, we never thought we left home. Here's the deal. I think we've come home more than because we're so close, because I was used to it. I don't think there's many weekends you haven't seen me at the supermarket or at St. Joe's or Mass. But you know what? As Val said, home is where your character is etched. It's where your values are shaped and where your view of the world is formed for all of us, every one of us in here. My character, my value, my view of the world, it all comes from this state and all of you. I'm proud that my grandparents were from Scranton, but I told Barack, I'd kid him, I'd say, "You make me sound like a kid who just climbed out of a coal mine with a lunch pail in his hand." I haven't lived in Scranton since I was in 3rd grade. But you know, it's the same character traits, all of you in this room. To paraphrase James Joyce, and I know I'm always quoting Irish poets, but Joyce said, and I'm going to paraphrase him, "When I die, Delaware will be written on my heart." Look, it's unfair. I'm not going to get emotional again. But you've always been with me. You've always been with me. By the way, Democrats and Republicans and independents, this is you gave my father and mother a home and a livelihood when there was no work where they had come from, the state of Delaware. You instilled in me and my sister and my brother Jimmy and my brother Frank that we could do anything at all. What used to bother me sometimes in the first campaign was people thought that only people who had opportunities were somehow had dreams, whether it was in what became Section 8 housing across the Marchmere where we were raised in Claymont, or whether it was in Mayfield. We never, like you, never wondered for a second whether we could be anything we wanted to be. I mean, I really mean it. Never, ever, ever crossed our mind that we couldn't do whatever we dreamed. You know, a belief that was taught to me by the nuns in grade school, my friends at school when I went to Claymont, to Delaware, my professors at the University of Delaware. And the interesting thing is to me, and my colleagues in the Senate and in the White House find it unusual, most of them. And that is that you've been with me in victory, you've been with me in defeat. And I really mean this. You've all stayed with me, not just the people in this room. The way the state of Delaware embraced my boys when they lost their sister and their mother. The way you embraced Jill when we got married. The way you have embraced my daughter Ashley. The way that you treated our son Bo. The way you celebrated with him, and the way you celebrated his life. No, I really mean it. It's a bit unusual. It's a bit unusual. And it's not about me. It's about you. It's about you. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people waited 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to pay their respects to our Bo. You embraced his family. My 2 grandchildren are here. Natalie and Hunter, who are back here. The way you embraced them is the same way you embraced our sons. And it really is an amazing thing. But when you elected me in '72 to the United States Senate, you gave me a chance. You gave me a chance only given to one person in American history, younger, to be elected. And you gave me a chance to express my deep-seated notion that as long as the middle class was strong, the poor had a way up, and the wealthy would do very well. The single most significant thing that distinguishes us from all, I know I'm called middle-class Joe in Washington. It's not meant as a compliment. It's like I'm not sophisticated, but I'm sophisticated about one thing. I really mean it. What makes us unique as a nation is we're a nation of possibilities. A nation of possibilities, and it's this notion that if you work at it, you're going to get a fair deal. If you work at it, anybody can make it. But let me tell you why I made it. I made it for two reasons. I made it because of my sister Val and my brother Jim. That's why I made it. Come here. No, I don't know where Jimmy is. He's out there somewhere. But Jimmy, my brother Jimmy and my sister Valerie took this improbable cause. Really and truly. I was 27 and a half years old. Val was 12. But think about this. We had no professional help. None. My sister Valerie put my campaign together. We didn't have a single solitary dime to spend on television for advertisements. We did not have 2 nickels to raise. I mortgaged my house I just moved into to pay for the last 11 days of our radio ads. Valerie conceived this campaign. My 24-year-old brother Jimmy went out and through the dint of incredible work, raised the money in order to get us to the point where we could be in the game. And it wasn't just what they did organizationally and structurally. Valerie put together what we used to be called back then the Biden Post Office. We couldn't afford to mail anything. Seriously. We covered 80% of the households. Every Saturday morning you'd get a different brochure and something I had to say. No, people would be waiting in their driveways. Not a joke. She organized over 20,000 volunteers to do this. But anyway, I really mean it. I won't go on. But without my brother Jimmy, without my sister Valerie, there is no, and this is my word as a Biden, there is no possibility I'd be standing here today. Not one single possibility. Look, folks, you've been standing long enough, and this is appreciated. It's kind of over the top. Sometimes I sit there and I think this is, they talk about 2 kinds of values, one of which are eulogy values. I feel like I'm hearing my own eulogy because my mom used to say that if you have something nice to someone, say it while they're still around. Well, my God, you've gone out of your way. Let me end by saying to you, and well, thank you so much. But look, let me end by saying I have never, as long as I have been involved, I've now been involved with, I've witnessed 9 swearing-ins of presidents when I was a sitting United States Senator or Vice President. And you know, as long as I've been engaged, I have never, even when I was characterized as that idealistic young 29-year-old kid who got elected, I am more optimistic, my word of this now, I am more optimistic about the possibilities for America than I ever have been. We are better positioned than any country in the world. I just spent some time with President Xi. We both spoke at Davos. I know him well. I know him better than any world leader, as he pointed out to the people there, because I've spent more time with him than any world leader. We have real disagreements, but we also want to see them grow and be stable. But here's the deal, guys. They are not, as you used to say in Claymont, a slightly different rags, I'll put it. They're not a patch in our genes. We want them to do well. But my Lord, they don't have enough energy. They don't have enough water, literally enough water. Cadmium has polluted 20% of all their arable land. We want them to do well. Europe, we want Europe to do well. We want Europe to stay unified. But ladies and gentlemen, no part of the world is remotely as positioned to lead the world in the 21st century. We own the finish line. We've just got to stop and focus on what we are and who we are. I have disagreements with the incoming administration, but folks, we got to give them a chance. And by the way, I'm confident the president-elect, the president of the United States, does not know where he's going for sure. No. I don't mean that as a criticism. I don't mean that as a criticism. If you look at the cabinet he's put around him, Pete, there are people of some very talented people with very strong disagreements among themselves. This is a man who's never been engaged in public life before. And so one of the things I'm going to try to do, and Barack and I have talked about this, we're going to try to be of assistance any way we can, because it's in the best interest of the country. And look, one of the great honors of my life was to serve with Barack. I was at Bo. I never call him Barack except the president, former president. It was almost, actually it was now, 8 years almost to the day that it was January 18th, 8 years ago, that I stood on the platform of the Wilmington train station. I got elected, I got admitted to the Delaware Bar when I was in 1969, after graduating from law school. Not many of you are old enough, thank God, to remember, but this city was burned down, big chunks of it. And I worked for a really fine law firm. They were good people. But after being there 6 months, I realized with the city in such turmoil, I was better suited to do something else. And I remember walking across, talking to a guy named Franny Kearns at the time, and asking for a job as a public defender. And he looked at me and he said, "Don't you work for..." I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you crazy?" But here's the thing. There used to be, some of you remember, state police walking the streets, the National Guard stationed on almost every corner in this city. And when people would be arrested in those tumultuous times, they'd often be taken down to the train station to be held first. And here I was on the 18th of January, and I want you to all remember this about a lot of issues. The 18th of January, 8 years ago, with thousands of you standing below waiting for, I was at the end of the platform nearest Eastlake. And as I looked out, it all of a sudden hit me. I stood there almost 40 years ago to the day, interviewing clients, and looking out over the east side part of Eastlake that was burned to the ground. And at that time I wondered, coming out of the movement, whether there would ever be a time when blacks and whites in the city of Wilmington even would get along with one another. And my son Bo was standing with me, and my son Hunter, who's my heart, and my daughter. And it hit me. I mean, I really mean it. It was spontaneous. I said, you know what? Here we are. I stood here 40 years ago to the day almost. The city in tatters, occupied by the National Guard. And I wondered whether it would ever get better. And here I am. We are waiting for a black man to travel from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to pick me up, to take a 127-mile ride to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States. So, folks, no matter how you feel right now, there is hope, man. It's been a lot worse a lot of other times. There is no reason why. None. None. We can't make this country sing again. When I announced my candidacy in 1972 in the Hotel de Pont, here's what I said. And I had to go back and look it up. I remembered the theme, but I wanted to get the exact words. And Valerie helped me write this. I said, quote, "We all know, or at least we're all told continually, that we are a people divided. And we know there's a degree of truth in that," I went on to say. "We have too often allowed our ambitious men to play off those differences for political gain. We have too often retreated behind our differences when no one really tried to lead us beyond those differences. But all of our differences hardly measure up to the common values we all hold as Americans." I believed that with every fiber of my being when I was a 29-year-old kid and said that. I believe it today. There's no quit in America. There's no quit in the American people. There is nothing that's beyond our capacity. I really mean that. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We're a country, and all of you in this center believe as I do, ordinary people, given half a chance, can do extraordinary, extraordinary things. And so, folks, where are little Hunter and Natalie? Come on up here. I want my two kids to come up. Where's Hallie? Is Hallie here? And Hunter? Hallie, Hunter, Jimmy, Sarah, my family, come on up here. By the way, hey Jimmy, when I met with all the Amtrak police today, they were thanking me for there being a police force. And I reminded them, there's only one reason there's Amtrak police force. This is not hyperbole. My son Hunter was on the board of Amtrak and they were going to not fund it. And he said, if they don't fund it, he's going to resign and hold a press conference. And no. And that's why there's an Amtrak police force, because of this kid right here. But anyway, look. I just want to say on behalf of the Bidens, my daughter Ashley, Bo, who's looking down and watching this. Is Jack here? Yeah. Well, Jack, I didn't know my brother-in-law. Where the hell are you, Jack? Get up here. By the way, he was a lawyer in working in the state of Pennsylvania for a large corporation. He took a 6-month leave of absence to come and work on my first campaign. So, Jack, you're partially responsible for this, too. Ladies and gentlemen, well, you got to help me out here. Who's here? Okay. All right. The whole family, anybody distantly related to me, come up here. Okay, Ronnie and Joan?
Probably going to go Cheney's, too.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you. And we're not going away. Thanks.